Hello friends, I am going to do a quick little video about the school-wide literacy action plan. I don't know how much time we'll have to get to it, or if we forget to get to it, so while I'm thinking about it, let me talk about it. So we decided that, you're welcome to work with a partner on this. You'll just have to kind of come to some agreements on what school district you're going to examine. It can be real or this can be hypothetical. So if you look in the syllabus, the school-wide literacy plan, you are coming up with a plan, not the instruments, not the data, just a plan for having how you will implement and assess and progress monitor literacy across a school or across a grade span. So if it's a primary school, if you're doing K2, intermediate, middle school, high school, you decide what that looks like based on the real school or hypothetical school. So if you look at this, you're going to have 7 sections plus an appendices for any documents that you may have in it. And I would add a bibliography if you use any sort of references. So that's what's in the syllabus along with the rubric. But I want to show you, think about these 7 sections. I want to show you what this looks like in action. So this example that I'm showing you, they just took those 7 sections and they went through and explained it. If you notice this example in particular, they use Pine Richland School District. So the first section is just a small narrative, a paragraph, 2 paragraphs on why, right? So why do we need this district or this school-wide literacy plan? And they talk about it here. They refer back to the achievement gaps. They did not use any particulars from that school district. I would say that data is easy to find, and you could go and find that on their website or on their annual report card with the state. So it would make sense for you to integrate that if you had access to. Important here, this plan is going to provide educators with what they have to do in terms of student achievement, curriculum, implementation of, monitoring of those of that curriculum, and then what the assessment plan looks like. So short and sweet, doesn't have to be super long. The second section is the literacy vision statement. Now, every school has a mission and vision statement. Sometimes it's hidden on their websites, but they are there. What I'm asking you to do is make a literacy vision statement. So that's a little bit different, but still reflective of what vision statements are. So if this is a real school district, you could go and look at their vision statement and then adapt it accordingly. Make sure you cite that if you do. Or you could really just create something new and original for that literacy vision statement. So here's what we want for our future, right? That's what a vision statement basically is. Here's what we want for our future. So check out some vision statements. Every school district, every organization has one. Sometimes it's not easily accessible. The third part are the school improvement goals. Now, this student has 5. There's no right or wrong number on how many of these you have. Think about what you want to do across these grades and what would those overarching goals be? So this person, they went all in, right? So oral reading fluency, the benchmark of 124 by the end of 5th grade. So obviously they were looking at the benchmark for Hasbrook and Tyndall, and they're like, look, we think this is attainable. Now, remember, it's a vision, so you're going to have to make sure there's progress monitoring involved in this, right? But also, if they don't, what? So what? What are you going to do? What are the interventions? So think about that as you're creating these goals, that with every goal, what if the outcome is not met, what would the intervention look like? And you don't have to be specific, like I'm going to do, segmenting and blending. That's not what I mean. That might mean moving the kid to tier 2 in the RTII or MTSS framework. A lot to think about, but I want you to think of this as broad. You do not have to get lost in the weeds on the details in this. So that's a warning for some of you. Multiple sources of data to inform literacy instruction. Absolutely. right? So that's a great goal. So let's make sure that we're putting things in place that helps us inform what we do, helps us differentiate what we do, helps us plan intervention and monitor whether or not our students are progressing and whether our instruction is aligned with how our students learn. So you can go through and look at that. Someone has an error. So you can go through and look at those and come up with, again, there's no right or wrong. If you look at the rubric, section 4, the action plan map. So what are you going to do to make this happen? If you go back to the syllabus, right, you're required to have 5 of those. So you want to go back and look at your goals. Do you have 5 goals? You have 5 maps. If you have 6 goals, you're going to have 6 maps. So forth and so on. So, really think about this. I think working with a partner is a great idea because you'll have these great discussions because you'll probably think, okay, here's what we do that works. Maybe we can borrow from what we're currently doing in our schools, or here's what we do that is a flop, right? It's not working. Here's what I might do if I thought about this more globally. Excuse me. So for all the goals, you have this action map. Right? Here's what we're going to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3 in all of these areas. Your timeline, who is in charge, what resources are needed. I'm not asking you to put together a budget, but I am asking you to think about what you need, who you need, right? So that costs money. So anytime you're proposing to administration, like, here's what we need to bring up literacy scores, here's my plan, here's my action map, right? Here are my goals. You have to remember that there's a budget attached to that, right? And some of that money can come from Title I. Absolutely. We're going to look at Title I. So some of that absolutely can. You notice here that this person, like, dreaming big, right? They're going to say, all right, we're going to use Read Naturally. That might already be in place. So there might not be a cost except for maybe the maintenance or additional training for new teachers. We're going to use Wilson. Okay, is that in place? If not, what does that cost? Again, I'm not asking you to do the budget for these things, but it's something to keep in the back of your mind. All right, a little bit more specific about how that'll be implemented, how you will measure whether or not it is successful, right? You got to think about that. Yeah, this is great, but how do we measure success? What is our metric for success? That's something we have to think about. And then you always want to have some check-ins or reviews, and what time of year will those occur? All right, so think about that for each and every one of them. Look, I assume it's a she. She has them for all of them, right? I'm going to zip through these, but you can take your time and look at them. This is on Blackboard. Section 5, the plan for assessing and reporting district progress. Now, these tie back to those action plans. What's that going to look like across the board? This person has a literacy collaborative team in place. My question would be, who are those people, right? Who serves on this team and what knowledge do they bring to the table? So thinking about that, step 6, expectations and supports for schools. There's going to be dollars tied to this. So you'll be thinking about that as you write it. And then plan for monitoring that implementation. So go through and look at what's required, but I think the conversation you want to start having is, what is this goal, right? Is this some hypothetical goal that exists, or are we going to use one of the current schools that we, where we teach? So stuff to think about in Blackboard. On the left, School-Wide Literacy Action Plan. When you pull that up, the rubric is there. This is the Pennsylvania Comprehensive Literacy Plan. I provide it so that you can see statewide what is being asked of schools, and maybe do that as a little bit of homework before you write yours, and then that example that I just shared with you. So, good stuff is happening. If you look at the rubric, the syllabus, let me zippity zip down. If you look at the syllabus, those are due April 21st. So you have some time, but I think it's worthy of getting together and having those conversations. Also, you want to get together and have conversations about your PDs that you're going to do for us. So, all right, good stuff. I wanted to make sure I got that up for you so that eliminates us having to look at it in a syllabus, but absolutely you can bring questions to class. All right, folks, see you soon. Bye-bye.